Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer are going to meet with China's lead economic representatives in Switzerland this weekend. Megan Cassella joins us now with more. Good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. So the possibility here for a real step forward between the U.S. and China with this meeting. It's set for Saturday and Sunday in Switzerland. And this is really the first confirmed meeting between high-level officials on both sides since the tariffs were announced. And it's the first real sign in months of momentum in U.S.-China trade negotiations. The news of it yesterday came just after Bessent told lawmakers earlier in the day that trade talks with China had yet to begin. And Bessent last night appeared to sort of downplay expectations for this meeting, but he did say everything is on the table.
What we're going to do in Switzerland is we've agreed to talk. Then on Saturday and Sunday, we will agree what we're going to talk about. My sense is that this will be about de-escalation, not about the big trade deal. But we've got to de-escalate before we can move forward.
Now, one tangible outcome to watch for here will be whether the two sides agree to bring tariffs down from where they are now at 145% and 125%. Bessent told me about 2 weeks ago he believes that's the necessary step before broader talks can begin. And the president has been resistant to this, but China has also called for that, for lowering tariffs as a way for the U.S. to show sincerity. Now, overnight, China's Commerce Ministry also laid out a longer set of stipulations. They say if the U.S. wants to negotiate, it must face up to the serious negative impact of unilateral tariffs on itself and the world, correct its wrong practices, and meet China halfway. Guys?
Fingers crossed. I guess we could conjecture and give our own opinions on what the likelihood, but I think, Megan, it might be best just to wait and see what happens at this point.
The only thing
we'll wait and see. We'll know soon.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd add to that is Eunice Yoon was on an hour ago, and she made some comments. Megan just showed some of those comments coming from the Chinese government.
Right.
Also adding to that they said that the rest of the world shouldn't appease the United States when it comes to these things, too. Maybe signaling that they're worried about the rest of the world kind of going along with some measures and teaming up with the United States against them. This is going to be kind of fascinating.
Absolutely. I think China is seeing how many countries are going to the U.S., are responding to these tariffs by saying we do want to make a deal and offering different things. And China doesn't want to be the one left alone as much as they want to hold out. We've seen that over the last couple of months. You guys have talked already earlier about some of the easing that they're doing. It does become a question of what the pain threshold is in China versus in the U.S. if we started to see some economic impact show up in the data here. So China wants to hold out, but as they're seeing every other country in the world, as the administration puts it, come to Washington to try to negotiate, they have at least agreed to this meeting, even as they keep putting out these strong words about what they will or won't do once they get there.
Yeah, and Scott Bessent chooses his words very carefully. We've seen that, and I think he's earned some credibility and respect on both sides. No matter how you feel about Trump or the administration, most people, I think he's got really high. He's not underwater in terms of polls and things like that. And it's, I think, for a reason. And you can see, I don't know him that well, but his mind seems to be working on exactly how he chooses words very carefully. And I think when he says things, it's not going to be. And as a Treasury Secretary, you don't want to misspeak as a Treasury Secretary because so much is at stake.
That's right.
I think all the time.
Major implications for everything he says. And I'll say, too, that everyone I talk to behind the scenes says they don't want to come out with it, but that Bessent's the one that they don't want to say it publicly, but Bessent's the one that they're going to try to get into the president's thinking or ask for an exemption or try to have cooler heads prevail on a lot of this. Bessent is really the one leading the way. The other thing that's interesting on China, and I want to mention, as you said, Joe, how much more they have to lose than we do. One thing we've heard from the president in the last couple of days when he speaks about Beijing is when he thinks about the trade deficit, he says that if we cut off all trade with China, that's only a good thing for the U.S. because it means that we no longer have a trade deficit. We're no longer losing money. It's not what most economists think. It's not what I think the market believes either. But something interesting to watch as we get closer to this meeting.
Although even individuals that, in past discussions about trade deficits, no one really loves trade deficits either. I mean, Buffett, we acknowledge that we're big consumers and we're a wealthy country, and the world is, we've all gotten wealthy together, but it just keeps hitting new highs, the trade deficit. And, I don't think you should judge everything you do with trade on whether there's certainly circumstances that warrant a deficit with another country, but it's not something you wouldn't like to say, wow, we tripled our trade deficit. Yeah, well, really, that's not
right.
That makes no sense. Megan, thank you.